Hello everyone, Texans owner Dylan Marlin back once more, and we are here for our news discussion about what happened during preseason week 3. And as you guys may know, we had a huge victory against the San Francisco 49ers, and we're not going to waste any time. We're going to hop straight into talking about what happened in that game. So looking at the game we just played, obviously from a yardage perspective and from an offensive perspective, we were outdone by the San Francisco 49ers, especially their running attack. It was incredible. I have no words to describe it, but that's what we come to expect out of this team. With Trey Lance, Deebo Samuel, Kyle Juszczyk, they have weapons all over the field for that running game, and they're dynamic. They also played really well in the passing game. They had double the first downs that we had, but again, our team stepped up from the defensive and from the special teams perspective. Obviously, we had a few points come from the offense themselves, but most of it came from special teams, defense, and they showed out. They showed why they belong, and they showed why they're probably going to carry this team this year. But we also saw a lot of promise, and one of our big scores of the game was a kickoff return touchdown, not by Traymon Smith, from another player, and we're going to talk about that. But let's get into the player stats, starting with the quarterbacks. All right, so in the passing game, we decided it is Jeff Driscoll's day to start the game. He threw for 105 yards, 2 interceptions. Yeah, we wish we could have seen more out of him, but again, we know that's what comes from him. He's a player that's been around. He's not that great. He's a third-string guy for us. We brought in Cam Newton to back up Davis Mills, and yeah, he's going to be the third string. He got a chance to potentially jump Cam Newton in the lineup, but he didn't get that done. Trey Lance, on the other hand, we got to talk about him. In the air, he was 181 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. That was a great interception for us to force. He took 3 sacks on the day. He had 13 pass completions for 76% percentage, and he had about 10 yards per attempt. So it was a pretty good passing day for him, but we limited him pretty well because he wanted to use his legs a lot. Jimmy Garoppolo, he was their starter last year. He came in for just the fourth quarter. We kept him to a 38.8 quarterback rating. He only had 30 yards, and we forced a huge interception for him on, I want to say, his first pass, maybe his second pass on the day. It was huge. And then this key sack, we're going to talk about this in a little bit. That was a key sack to seal the game. In the rushing game, obviously, we already talked about it from the team stats perspective, but they ran all over us. Trey Lance had 11 attempts for 82 yards, 7.5 a carry, a touchdown, and a key fumble. It was a key fumble, and that was huge for us that we could get that turnover for him. Trey Sermon, he had most of the carries out of the backfield. He had 16 carries for 72 yards, 4.5 a carry, 2 broken tackles on the day. His longest run was only for 11 yards, so not too bad, but he had 42 yards after contact. We have to start bringing our men down on the initial tackles. And then we decided from our side of the ball that this game was going to be a decider for who we were going to bring into this regular season from the running back position. Obviously, we have Dameon Pierce. Marlon Mack's been around for a while. Rex Burkhead's been around for a while. Royce Freeman's been around for a while. Dare Ogunbowale, he's never had a real chance to prove himself, but he's done a lot this preseason, and we wanted to give them all a chance to prove why they want to be here. So we sat Dameon Pierce. We started the game with Marlon Mack, and he only needed 2 carries to show he belongs. 2 carries for 36 yards. But the one must have been, let's look at the long. Yeah, a 39-yard run for a touchdown. Basically, I saw him do that from his second touch, and I said, your day's over. You've proved yourself. You're making the team. Royce Freeman came in the game. 4 carries, 27 yards with a broken tackle. It was decent. It wasn't crazy, but it was good. And before we talk about the rest of their team, Dare Ogunbowale, he was good too. 4 carries, 16 yards. It was decent. He had 2 broken tackles. He didn't have much time to prove himself, but he did good. But what we really need to talk about, Rex Burkhead, 3 carries for 4 yards, negative 0.3 yards per carry, and a fumble. And a poor throw from Jeff Driscoll. He did not react quick enough. That forced us to let an interception happen on the field, turn the ball over. And then obviously the rest of their rushing attack while we're here, Kyle Juszczyk, 5 for 25, 5 yards. Incredible fullback, probably the best in the league. Deebo Samuel, whenever he got in the backfield, 3 carries for 12 yards, 4 yards a carry. Tyrion Davis-Price, he came in for the fourth quarter, 2 carries for 11 yards in the receiving game. This is why Deebo Samuel is essential for this offense. You guys saw the rushing game, and he also had a lot of pre-snap motion throw us off, and he caught the ball 4 times for 82 yards, 20.5 yards per catch. Incredible stats. He had a long at 33 yards, which we saw that play. He dusted our team pretty well. But from our end, we also had John Mechie. He continues to step up in key situations. He had 4 catches, 42 yards, 10.5 per catch. And it was just every time he caught the ball, it was an essential catch that we needed, and he stepped up. George Kittle, obviously one of the best tight ends in the league, 2 for 41. Same per yardage attempt as Deebo Samuel. And his longest was from 36. That was a huge catch. Tyler Kroft did well coming in as a reserve for him. And Brevin Jordan, he had 2 catches, 23 yards. We were hoping to see more out of him. Ray McLeod got some catches. Philip Dorsett. It was nothing special from the offensive end, but from the receiving end, but it was pretty good. Our protection on the day, we were able to put some pressure on the San Francisco 49ers. We were able to come up with 4 sacks on the day. 2 coming from when we pressured Daniel Brunskill, 1 from when we pressured Mike McGlinchey, and 1 coming off Spencer Burford. We let up 0 sacks. That is huge from our O-line. Now let's talk about defense. The most exciting part of our team, probably. We made a decision. We said, instead of throwing Eric Murray at that floating around position, trying to take whatever you can, we wanted to keep Eric Murray at that strong safety position because he is thriving. We wanted to see if CJ Gardner-Johnson could produce in a sub linebacker / sometimes corner, floating around the field position whenever available. And he didn't do bad. He got 9 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, no interceptions. I believe no, he did not get any fumbles or anything. It wasn't awful. Could it have been better? Yeah, but also he was playing with a lot of backups on the field. He may not have gotten the best chance to prove himself. So I think we found Eric Murray, who had a great game in the safety position, 12 tackles in total, 2 for loss. He played a great game. He had a forced fumble as well from the strong safety position. I think we're going to leave him there. And I think our job this year in the beginning weeks is going to be finding CJ Gardner-Johnson, his best position on the defense, because he is a playmaker. He just has to be fit in the right spot to show him success. Jalen Petre, again, great game. We weren't expecting a ton out of him, but as a rookie, he's stepping up in that free safety position. He had 7 tackles. He had an interception much like the week before where it was just a wild pass. He reacted quickly to the ball to secure it and get us a turnover for the team. He returned that 15 yards as well, so that was a great boost to it. He also had a fumble recovery as well. Also, Desmond King, I've been doing a lot of thinking. I think our best chance with him is to throw him in the slot to be the slot corner for a lot. But he did very well. He had a key pick-6 touchdown against Jimmy Garoppolo nearly as soon as he came in the game. Got that interception, got that touchdown, and that was a big score for us. Obviously, they weren't the only ones who threw interceptions. We had Dre Greenlaw pick us off once. We also had Jimmy Ward pick us off once. And the Jimmy Ward play, it was a slight underthrow by Jeff Driscoll, but it was an incredible play by him. And obviously, we weren't the only one that forced a fumble. Nick Bosa came in a direct response from our fumble. The next play, directly after, he came in after a defender already stood up Rex Burkhead, punched that ball out, and got his team the ball back. It was a huge play by him. Nobody could have seen that one coming. But that key sack we talked about with Jimmy Garoppolo, it was a safety as a result of Malik Collins stepping into the game. He hadn't gotten any reps all day. He was coming in for a quick sub, and he made him play. He made him pay. Going up against the backup O-line of the 49ers, and he brought in that safety. It was key. And like we said, that Desmond King touchdown, that was also key in driving us through to a win for this game. From the kicking department, both kickers were 100% on the day. The longest from Kai Fairburn was 48, and the longest from Robbie Gould was 42. Nothing huge to speak about. Obviously, 3 extra points from Fairburn with 3 touchdowns. It was a great game for them. Punting, Cameron Johnston continues to put the ball in incredible spots when we forced to rely upon him. He had a 60.5 average yards per punt. That is a huge leg, and both of his punts went inside the 20, so that's huge for us. Kick returns. This is what we need to talk about. Davion Davis may have secured his roster spot just like Tremon Smith did. And he had 3 kick returns for 150 yards, but he had one of them bust for a touchdown, 92 yards. And he just showed why these other teams can't be kicking to us. Obviously, I think this means we're going to have Davion Davis as our kick returner, Tremon Smith as our punt returner. We could have a lethal special teams unit this year, which could help carry us with an offense that's not that great. We also give Chris Moore a chance. A squib kick got Kyle Juszczyk a chance, but we didn't really see much out of that. From the punt returning side, obviously, there wasn't anything crazy to happen there. We didn't allow them to return our punts. They didn't punt at all. And now let's take a chance to talk about those goals that we had for that last game. We did not win the turnover battle, unfortunately. It was close. I think we may have tied with them, actually, but it was a close game. We did not win the turnover battle, and we did not produce 250 offensive yards. We continue to get closer every single week, but we were only able to put up 181 offensive yards on the day. Obviously, our offense isn't the greatest, and we are getting carried by the defense and the special teams. We need them to at least get the yardage to keep us going in these games. Allow 20 points or less. We obviously did that. We came very close to the wire as they scored 19 points, but we did keep it under 20. That was the goal. And we got no passing touchdowns on the day, so we did not get that goal as well. I was hoping we could see Jeff Driscoll step up. Obviously, he's a third-string quarterback. He was not able to get it done, but that's okay. Obviously, we already discussed when we went over the game stats, but CJ Gardner-Johnson has a ton of potential for this team. He's a 24-year-old star out of Florida. We know he has the skills. We know he just has to be molded. He just needs to find his spot in this defense. At 210, 5'11", obviously he can't go on the D-line. We know that. But I'm thinking he might be a bit small, but he could be a very quick linebacker, or he could hop in on corner. He has great coverage skills and all that. So we're going to keep floating around all those different specialty positions, see what he can produce, because I think he could be a key contributor for this team if we find the right spot for him. We do need to talk about the fact that, unfortunately, we could not come out of this game unscathed. We did pick up an injury to one of our players, and it could be pretty essential with our roster. Our boy Obo Okoronkwo, off the left end position, age 27, he came out with a dislocated elbow. He left previously in the game, came back from a hip pointer, I believe it was, and he came back out, was trying to prove himself, earn his spot, and he dislocated his elbow. So unfortunately, he's scheduled to be out 4 weeks. I believe that would bring him in at the second game of the regular season, but it may have some key effects on our roster cuts. And now, obviously, you guys know we had another home game in this past game, Thursday Night Football, our last preseason home game as the Houston Texans. It's crazy to say. I feel very bad for the fans of Houston, but we are going to make sure to invite them into this fandom when we move. Obviously, we'll have more information on that as more things are decided, but let's go check out our Gameday Financials, see what adjustments we can make to help them out. Houston Heroes has said the Texans tickets are cheaper than usual in the club section. We love to hear that. Obviously, we might need to tweak it a little bit if we get a little better, but it's great to hear that. I like that they haven't overpriced Mazzane tickets. Obviously, we made that decision before. We helped that out. And the upper section tickets are priced pretty reasonably. So all positive. Doesn't look like we need any adjustments from the tickets perspective. Let's check out merchandise. Hoping to scrape together a few extra bucks so I can afford a Texans Brandon Cooks Nike jersey. So let's go over there. Let's help him out. Let's help him out so he doesn't have to work that hard to produce it. We're going to bump it down 10 bucks. All right, and then we have Houston Heroes once again. He said it's too bad the Texans charge so much for a sideline Nike dry fit t-shirt. Should be cheaper. You know what? I can help you with that. Let's find the shirt you are speaking of. Sideline Nike dry fit. We will bump it down another $4 to help you out, my man. And then Texans, I'd like to be able to buy my daughter a Nike game home jersey, but at the prices, it won't be easy. All right, I can help you out there. We'll bump it down another $10 to $90. There you go. And let's talk about concessions. Huge for us. It's getting tough to afford peanuts at Texans games, but it won't affect my fanhood. I appreciate that positivity, my man. We're going to help you out. We are going to bump it down to $2 for peanuts. That is a bit extreme for $3. I don't know how that came about. The biggest deal at the stadium is potato chips. Don't miss out on it in the next home game. We love to see that positivity, cutting deals for our fans. Expected the Texans to raise the prices on coffee this season. Glad they didn't. Of course, we're not trying to rob you of all your money. Come on, just a little bit. All right, and as we have come to the end of the preseason, we're going to go check out some of our preseason stats for our games. Obviously, we split up the snaps between all three of our quarterbacks. Cam Newton got the least. He only needed one drive this preseason. We got him a drive. He was able to produce a touchdown out of it. And he showed that he's ready to be the veteran backup quarterback. Obviously, he's probably not going to get a lot of playing time because you want these young players to grow, as we know we're not the best of teams. But he's going to be a great backup to rely on if Davis Mills were to go out for some reason. And speaking of Davis Mills, he had 138 yards across the entire preseason, 16 for 41, a touchdown, 2 picks. Obviously, you want to see better out of him, but it was okay. It wasn't fabulous. He had one game much better than the other one. Jeff Driscoll obviously started the entire last game, had a few snaps in each of the other games. 137 with 2 interceptions. Could be better. Rushing game. Dameon Pierce proved himself as the starter for this team. He came in the very first preseason game. 25 he ended the preseason very well. 25 attempts for 94 yards, almost 4 yards a carry. He had no touchdowns, but he broke 9 tackles across those games. Longest run was 11 yards. It wasn't any crazy big runs, but he continued to pound the ball and had great averages. We love to see that. Obviously, Marlon Mack did very well as well, and that huge touchdown run helped him out a lot for his production this preseason. Royce Freeman, he did solid as well. He had a high average of 5.8 a carry. Obviously, I think these numbers are fluctuating. Didn't have a ton of carries, but he was great nonetheless. Dare, he did great as well. Andy Janovich, he was a key fullback. He got some great 4th down pickups for us, so we know that's a weapon we have in our arsenal if we end up needing it at some point during the regular season. Davis Mills, he didn't have much of a game scrambling, but he tried his best. And Rex Burkhead, I hope he can make this roster because he did not have a great preseason. 5 attempts for 3 yards, the fumble, just not looking good for him. And then obviously we ran a few jet sweeps with some receivers. They didn't work out too well. Maybe we just didn't have the right person on those plays. All right, receiving game. Brevin Jordan, although he dropped some where you wish he would catch it through contact, he did very well. 7 catches, 76 yards, 10.9 a catch. He didn't have a touchdown in the preseason, but he was a solid contributor for us. Whenever we needed him to step up, he did, and he made those catches. John Mechie III stepped up greater than any of us probably could have imagined. He's always making the key catches whenever we needed a big one. He had 8 catches for 70 yards, only 8.8 a catch, but every single one he got was always we needed a first down or we needed a momentum changer. He also picked up 2 touchdowns in the preseason. Great work for him. Philip Dorsett, 4 for 43. He played great. I'm not sure he's going to make this team. He's very similar to Brandon Cooks in his skill set and his size and all those kind of things. And obviously, I think we all recognize Brandon Cooks is a bit better, but hopefully Philip Dorsett is able to make this roster. I like him as a player a lot, and I think he has a lot of potential for us. Nico Collins, 3 for 40 yards, 13.3 a catch. Great preseason for him. Kyle Rudolph stepped in. He's our vet. He's here to mentor Brevin Jordan. He had 4 for 37, 9.3, showing his veteran prowess. Chris Moore, 1 for 23. He had 1 catch, but it was a big one. Chris Conley, 2 for 21. Royce Freeman, and then obviously just a few here and there. Nothing crazy to see. Surprisingly, our O-line held up pretty well. Laramie Tunsil actually, surprisingly, was one of the 3 sacks that was let up, but I don't expect that for most of the year unless he's up against an all-star quality end on their side of the ball, which I believe he'll be tested with a lot. He may give up a few, but he is an all-pro player for this team. Also, Scott Questenberry let up 1, Max Sharping let up 1, but this is promising. Obviously, we talked about defense. Our leading tackler was Eric Murray. He was great getting to the ball, quick, fast. He has also Christian Kirksey had a few. CJ Gardner-Johnson with 18 tackles. That's huge. Obviously, we're going to keep testing him out like we've talked about multiple times. Jalen Petre with 15, Derek Stingley Jr. with 15, Desmond King with 11, and Chris Harris Jr. with 9. Tackles for loss leaders. Eric Murray led the way with 5 as well. He was a standout for this team. Ross Blacklock with 4. He was incredible in the D-line. Christian Kirksey, 3. Mario Addison, 3. Obo with 3. And then Jonathan Grenard, Jerry Hughes, the whole list. Let's go with sacks. Our leading sacks were tied. We had 2 by Eric Murray, 2 safety blitzes. He was huge on them. Ross Blacklock came up with 2 as well. Mario Addison with 1. Obo with 1, Jonathan Grenard with 1, Rasheem Green with 1, and then half sacks for Jerry Hughes and Malik Collins. Interceptions, 2 for Jalen Petre. He was the only player on our team with 2, and we didn't expect him to have such a big role, so he's been playing great. Also, Eric Murray got 1, as we all know. Christian Kirksey got 1, Derek Stingley Jr. got 1, and Desmond King II got 1. So it was a great preseason for our defense. Forced fumbles, that's another key statistic we can look at. Eric Murray forced one, Christian Kirksey forced one. It was great for them. We didn't have any block kicks. We did have the one safety that we spoke about before. Defensive touchdowns, obviously we saw that Desmond King touchdown on the pick 6 that last game. So now that we all see we are done with our preseason schedule, we are not ready to make our cuts just yet. I do need a little bit more time to consider what we are going to be doing with this team, but we can take this time and let's take our initial look at our regular season schedule. Week 1, we start at home against the Indianapolis Colts. They are favored to be one of the better teams in our division. This would be a huge win for us if we're hoping to make any progress on the playoff situation this year. Second week, we have a 4:25 game in Denver against the Broncos. Could be a rough one for us. Sunday next week against the Bears, also going to be a great game. That one's probably going to be a bit more competitive for us because obviously the Bears aren't the greatest team in the league right now. But then we are running into trouble in week 4. We have a game at home, but it's against the Chargers, who could be a monster in that AFC West division. The Jaguars are coming into we are going to the Jaguars, my apologies, the very next week. And then we have bye weeks. We can readjust right around the middle of the season, see what we want to do. And then we obviously have to head into Las Vegas to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. They have some weapons over there. Then we're going home, but we're facing the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, that stellar running game, which is marked by King Henry, and hopefully we can stop him. Then we have the Eagles come into town for Thursday night football. So we are going to get another chance to don these Thursday night football uniforms. Hopefully we can stop them. I have a feeling they're going to be very explosive this year. They have a lot of skill on both sides of the ball. And the Giants, we're playing the entire NFC East this season. So we also have the Giants. We're going to the very next game. And then we have the Commanders coming into town. And then we are heading down to Miami to play the Dolphins. They have some explosive offense as they have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle now on the team. And so much speed on that team. Hopefully we find a way to stop them. Cleveland Browns we're facing next. That should be a rough one for us. Hopefully we can come up to the plate. Cowboys should also be a rough game. Hopefully we can match them. And the Chiefs. A rough stretch of things in this span of teams. And we have the Titans once more after that. The Jaguars again. And then we end off the season with the Colts. So, obviously, we know our division, the AFC South. We know the Jaguars are on the come up. They're probably not there yet. The Colts are probably the powerhouse of our division. And the Titans, obviously, they've made the playoffs before. They've won this division before. And if we hope to have any chance at these playoffs, we know we have to pick up some big wins against them at the very least. So again, obviously, we are not ready to make our cuts just yet. I have a lot of thought that has to go into this. We're only able to keep 53 men, and I know that sounds like a crazy large number. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes over here. But it's not a ton when you think about the entire football team. So I have to make some key decisions. I'm going to let some guys go that I don't want to let go. But I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys back next week as we make our final decisions and we get our final preparations in for the regular season. Thank you guys so much. Catch you guys next time.